Talofa everyone. Welcome to my second Facebook Live session. Hope you can hear me okay. Please leave a message or a chat, whatever. Just let me know if you can hear me okay and that the microphone's working properly. So we'll just wait for Talofa. And welcome to Varala Vanilla. I've managed to come outside even though it's been raining and it's still looking a bit gloomy out here, but I've managed to come out and just take you through. I'm on my tripod and I'd like to show you a little bit around my vanilla. And so yeah, let's go for a little walk, okay? And thank you everyone who brought in their questions, sent in their questions, and thank you for taking an interest in what we're doing. So here we go. I'll just turn you around. So this is the brand new part of Vaoala Vanilla. This is the artificial shade structure with artificial supports, and these particular vines were planted using cuttings from the original vines that were here. I'm pretty sure a lot of you may have already seen what my farm, this part anyway, used to look like. Where it had 132 living support trees like those ones over there, and there would have been about 500 vanilla vines, if not more. So we changed this whole area and turned it into an artificial support, and I can talk to you about that. Oh, thank you, Bella, welcome. Thank you. I just wanted to know whether my microphone's working. Being a newbie to Facebook Lives, blogging and things like that, so I've been investing a little bit into tripods and microphones, so good to know that it's working. Thank you. So these plants I planted back in August. So I started planting these in August. The ones up the top I'll just show you. So we'll go up to the top. So in here we have, these are the artificial supports. It's aluminium posts, and they're secured with concrete with every single one of them. And then we've utilized bamboo as our side, and then of course our famous pulu and composting that we do, and mulch. So we have over 220 of these artificial supports. And on each support we grow two vanilla cuttings, and I'll show you the cuttings. Here are some that I've cut from the other side of the farm, and why we leave them here is that when you do cuttings you do not plant them straight away, because where you've cut, see that area there, it has to be nice and dry, top and bottom. So they have to be dried out before you can even start planting them into the ground or on top of the ground, because otherwise they will rot. And when you do a cutting, normally you can do about 1 meter length, or you usually count about 6 to 7 leaves. And what we do is we cut off. Okay, let me just show you. So this is a bit longer, this one, and we cut off the top 3 leaves like that, like so, just like that, and then the bottom 3 leaves we cut completely off, just like that. And that is the area that you're going to lay down onto the ground. And what I might do is maybe another session, we'll have like a day out in the farm, or an hour out in the farm, and I'll actually do some of that stuff and show you. So up here we still haven't completed all growing. As you can see, there's some weeds there, so yep, got to clean all that out, but eventually this whole area will be full of vanilla. And this is the first part that I started growing back in September. And within 4 to 5 weeks of me planting, they started growing. And you can see the new growth here. So this is all new growth that started, here it is. So this is the original, this here is the original vine that we started. There's the 2 there, and you can see that a new vine has started from that leaf. So it's come up here, and that's that one. That's the end there. Now this one has started from, actually it's on this, no, it's on this, the vine, this one. So you can see how the new vines shoot out from the leaves inside there. That's where the new leaves start, the new vines, sorry, and then they keep growing up. And this is what we're doing. We're just getting it to grow up to the top, and then we will start looping them down. Here's some that have started growing from the bottom. Sometimes they'll start right from the bottom where you've laid them down, and sometimes they die off. So there's no guarantee that your cutting is going to take. 90% of the time they do, but sometimes even if they look like they're dying, like this one, the leaf has actually died off, they'll start little new shoots down the bottom. So you just leave them and you let them grow up. Yeah, thank you. Talofa, Connie. Welcome from Arizona. That's awesome. That's awesome. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Angie. Angela Burich. She's my daughter-in-law. I'm not biased, but she's gorgeous. So, yeah, ask your questions. Thank you again to those that did send in their questions, and I look forward to answering them very, very shortly. But I just thought I'd take you for a little walk along this new area. And if you want to, well, mind you, you probably don't have a choice because I'm going to take you there anyway. Yes, I do sell them. I do sell the cuttings. So a lot of people, they've come to me when they want to start growing vanilla here in Samoa. I'm only selling them to people that live in Samoa. Hi Angie, thank you. Oh, welcome Stella, nice to see you. Oh, well, know that you're here all the way from Boston, Massachusetts. That's awesome. I'm glad that I'm getting out to the States. Wonderful. But going back to the question of do I sell them, I'm assuming that you mean the cuttings. So at the moment I can only sell them to locally, to Samoans. There's a big, if I was going to sell them overseas, there'd be a lot of work involved with that. Quarantine, all the necessary agriculture certificates, spraying, you name it, they'll want it. So I do sell them locally for people that want to start growing vanilla. And even though I sell them, because these are my babies, they really are my babies, and even when I do sell them, I like to make sure that they're going to be looked after, and they're going to give joy to the new person that's going to be growing vanilla. So I like to support them, and I like to help them figure out where they want to grow it, make sure that they've got either a living tree or a artificial support to start growing, and then offering them advice on how to look after them using natural farming methods and organic methods, composting and things like that. So these are the ones that are growing on living support trees, and they've all had a prune. Really, my husband and his worker were out here pruning these, so ideally we do not prune like this where you cut off the tops completely. When you do prune a support tree, it should be only 50% pruning. That's all there is. So these are growing on trees, and it does make a difference on the type of tree that you use. This is the Gloricidia tree, which has a very nice soft leaf, and it gives a very nice shade for the vanilla. Here's some beans. So these beans are probably about 2 months old. They've still got maybe 6 to, at least, yeah, you can see the ants. The ants are all out because of the rain. And once the rain stops, then I'll be spraying them with a natural insecticide. But they don't do too much damage to the bean at this stage. It's only when the flowers are out where the ants can be troublesome. So I'm hoping that by actually getting rid of the support trees and going to the artificial, that I'm going to help mitigate the ant problem. The whole of Samoa has a big ant problem. They are killing plants, they're killing crops, they're killing fruit, they're killing trees even. Ants are terrible. And you wonder why. Why? I mean, we never used to have problems with ants here in Samoa before. Not to this extent anyway, but every farmer and grower that I know, they've all got the same problem. And yeah, I actually think it might be because we are, hang on, I'm just trying to open my gate. I have gates here to keep the dogs out, because the dogs love to come in and dig up all the pulu. But I think it's because of all the pesticide use that we are using here in the islands, and where the toxic pesticides are killing the natural insect that would control the ants. And now the ants are having a field day. So yeah, I'll just turn you around and say hi. So yes, Connie, I mean, if your family or friends are living in Vaimoso and they're interested in getting some vanilla cuttings, certainly they can contact me. All my contact details are on my Facebook page, my website. I do offer, if they want to do some training sessions, I do offer some workshops on vanilla, just to let people know what they're up for and how to start off properly. So it's always good to start off properly and understand exactly what you're going to be getting into before you make a commitment. So yeah. So hi Morena, how long does a plant take till it bears the vanilla pods? It takes 3 to 4 years for, I'll just turn you around again. Oops, sorry. So it takes 3 to 4 years for these cuttings. As you can see, they've already started growing new shoots here. So it will take 3 to 4 years for the cutting to come right up to the top here and loop down. And it will take that long for them to mature. So the vines need to be strong. They need to be matured 3 to 4 years, like I said, before you encourage the vine to produce flower buds. If you just left the vanilla vine on its own and did nothing for 3 to 4 years, you would find that the vanilla would have grown up it will just keep going up. It will not come down unless you train it to come down. And it will just keep growing up. And it will not produce flowers until you encourage it to. So you need to get the vine to a healthy state first, which is 3 to 4 years. And then you can do a procedure to the vine that will tell the vine to now produce flower buds. Yeah. Okay. And like I said earlier, I think it'd be great. I'm intending on doing more of these types of sessions with you. And hopefully I'll create a really nice following of people that just want to learn about vanilla and just follow the journey. And what I'll do is do a couple of out in the farm sessions where I'll actually show you how to do all of that. And it's good that I've got new vanilla growing now, so that when it gets to those stages where we start looping, then you can actually see it. It makes a big difference when you can actually see something, and then you can understand it better. Yeah. All right, so what I might do is go to some of the questions that our followers had sent in. So please feel free to write, if you've got questions, put them, write them up, and I'll answer them as I see them come up. So the first one is from Faith Laban, and she's one of our Instagram followers. So Faith has asked, how did Vaoala vanilla start, and where did the journey all begin from? So how did Vaoala vanilla start? Vaoala vanilla started about 14 years ago, and that just came about from me taking an interest in thinking about growing vanilla. I was part of a group with the Women in Business Development NGO over here, and it was at that time when the Samoan government and WIBD were not only trying to promote organic growing, organic farming, but they also wanted to bring in a high value crop such as vanilla. For those of you that may not be aware, vanilla is the second highest spice in the world. So after saffron, vanilla is next. So it is a very high value crop. So the Prime Minister at the time, which is, well, he's still our Prime Minister, Tuilaepa, he wanted to bring in vanilla into Samoa because he knew there's vanilla being grown all around the Pacific. You've got Tonga, you've got Niue, you've got Fiji, there's Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Tahiti. It's growing everywhere. And there was no vanilla industry here in Samoa 14 years ago. So I took a few cuttings and I just decided to grow a few. I started off with 50 cuttings, like the ones that I showed you, these ones that are on the, I'll just turn you around, on the log here. So I started with 50 of those, and I put them on, 20 trees. I started growing 20 support trees. Yeah, and that's how I started 14 years ago. And then gradually, as I became confident in growing the vanilla, I would make cuttings and just expand and expand and expand, much to my husband's horror, because I was taking up all this space and creating more vanilla, more vanilla, more vanilla. So from those 50 vines, I now have over 1,000 vines to look after now. So, and that's all I can handle. When you're a one-man band, yeah, just don't go too big too soon. So that's how Vaoala vanilla started. And where did the journey all begin from? Well, the journey did begin right here in Vaoala. And this is the home of Vaoala vanilla because I live in Vaoala. I really liked that name. It just meant this was where the vanilla was born. It's the home of the vanilla. Vaoala, when you sort of think about the Samoan word Vaoala, and think about what it might mean in English. Vau meaning trees, wooded area. Ala means to awaken, to be enlightened. So yeah, I just felt that was it was synonymous with what I was doing with the vanilla, and particularly that the vanilla was growing under trees. The enlightening part for me was when the flowers open up in the morning. They open up in the morning, you know, so waala, they wake up. So that's where the journey began. Our second question is from Shelley Burich, and she's one of our Vanilla Lounge members. So if you don't know, we have 3 social media, actually 4, but only 3 that I'm working on at the moment. So we have Instagram, Facebook, and we have a Vanilla Lounge chat group, which I love. So she asks 4 questions. I'll answer one of them, and then I'll just double check to see what you've all written down there. How much vanilla do we harvest each year? Okay. We harvest depending on weather conditions, depending on whether we've had just like a whole lot of rain or whether it's been a cyclone. That can determine how good or how bad your harvest is every year. And vanilla, there's only one harvest per year. So we average with this amount of vanilla, we average between, on a bad harvest year, about 1,200 beans. On a really good harvest year, we can get 2,500 up to 3,000 beans. And when you equate that to kilos, it's around about 20 to 30 kilos that we harvest, and that's green beans. That's not your processed beans, that's green beans, because there's another process that you have to go to once you harvest before it gets into the stores, right? Connie asks, Se'e is a good place to grow vanilla. That's where my parents have a farm. That's great. I think any place, vanilla will grow anywhere. You could throw vanilla outside your window, a vanilla vine, if you didn't look after it, and you would find that it would start growing. But wherever you are, where I'm at in Vaoala, we're up in the mountains, it's cooler, it's got a lot more rainfall than down sea level, down lower and up here. So wherever you are, you just need to adapt. You just adapt your growing methods and what you need to do in terms of maintaining your vanilla. So if you're down where it's a lot drier, then it means that you would just need to go out and water them a lot more. And you would probably have to give them a little bit more than 50% shade, because the sun would be a lot hotter. And you don't want to be sunburning your vanilla leaves. When you're up too high, it can get quite foggy, maybe too much rain, and I think maybe a structure like this where it just controls the sunlight and yeah, keeps it a little bit more warmer for you would be, yeah. So wherever you are, you can grow it as long as you keep the light, the sun, the shade, and the water. As long as you've got those that mix right, then you'll be fine. And like me, a lot of it is just through trial and error. You know, you plant it over there, you do this to the tree, you do that, and you just see whether it works. If it doesn't work, then you know that the next one that you're going to grow is somewhere else. You're going to do something different. So a lot of it is trial and error. Don't ever give up if it doesn't work the first time. Just keep trying, putting it in different areas. All right? So, I answered that. How much vanilla do we harvest each year? What are the pests that affect our vanilla crops, and how do you protect from that? Right now, the biggest pest are the ants. Yeah, and it's not just for vanilla. Like I said, it's for all crops, all flowers, trees. Ants in Samoa are becoming a really big problem. They are killing a lot of growing. I had a big problem with the African snails. Oh, we're back. Sorry, we had a disconnection problem. Vodafone and the internet connection's been going on and off all day. So yeah. Oh, we're back. Sorry everyone, we keep losing connection. So I was just walking around trying to find a connection outside here. Yeah. So quickly before, hopefully we won't lose you again, or you won't lose me. So the pests, the other big pest was the African snail. So the African snail would actually eat the vanilla leaves, and you can always tell when there's an African snail. I'll just turn you around. They'll leave a big brown hole in the middle, either in the middle or to the side of the leaf, and that's when you know you've got African snails in your farm. And most of the time you'll find them in the pool. They'll hide underneath. And what I've been doing is, because my property is organically certified, I'm all about natural farming and organic farming. I've been trying to find the most suitable organic insecticide and pesticide. I've tried mixing kava. I've gotten kava powder, and I've tried mixing that, and I would go and spray it on the vanilla. It worked for a little bit, but then it was getting a bit expensive for me to be buying kava packs all the time. The latest thing that I've been doing is I made my own concoction, and I used lemongrass leaves. I cut up some lemongrass, and I've got a curry tree. So I cut up all the curry tree leaves, and I put them in a bucket, filled the bucket up with water, put a lid on it, and left it for about 2 weeks, and just let it ferment. And it stinks. It really, really stinks. But the water goes like a dark purpley color. And then I would use around about, say, about 50 mils to 10 liters of water. And I would put that around the vanilla, you know, sort of sprinkle it up on the vine, but mainly down by the base. And I'm finding that I really believe that has helped control the African snail pests that I used to have such a big problem with. Now I still see African snails around, but not nearly as much as what I used to. So now I'm trying it on the snails. The ants. Trying to get rid of them. But I was so fortunate to be part of this amazing workshop that I went to last week. And it's all about natural farming, and you're making natural plant food, natural plant insecticide and pesticide, using the natural farming methods by Korean farmers. So we started making some of this stuff, and I've been putting it on particularly these new cuttings because they're just brand new, so I really want to feed them well. And I'm finding that as soon as I put that spray on the vanilla cuttings, they perk up. They just go, whoa, thank you, love that, give me some more. And I'm hoping that it's going to help control the ants as well, because I don't see a lot of ants on these new vines like some of my old ones on the other side. And that's going to be another session where I will take you away from this part and take you over to the second vanilla site, where it's got much older vines and older trees there and very overgrown. So that's just some of the pesticides, and that's how I protect. I just find any organic stuff that I can get a hold of, and I believe organic mulching and composting really helps as well control the pests. Okay, another question. Vanilla growing looks like full-time work in itself. How do we manage working full-time and looking after our crops? Great question. Yep, I was working full-time up until June last year. So I was working full-time for about 7 years as the CEO for the Samoa Cancer Society, which I absolutely love doing, and I do miss my job there. I miss helping cancer patients, but I needed to come full-time to Vaoala Vanilla. Two of my passions, the Cancer Society and the vanilla, and I couldn't give 100% to both, so I had to make that choice and go full-time. So when I was working full-time though, the only time I could get into the vanilla was the weekends, and you can imagine how overgrown it would get because you leave it alone too long and it would just take over. It will just keep growing and growing, and it's a lot of work to maintain it. I would go out early in the morning before I would go to work, and if I was pollinating, then I'd go out and pollinate the flowers, and then off I'd go to work. And you might see some of my videos on my website where I'm saying good morning just before I head off to work. I'm all dressed up in my work gear and I'm out there pollinating. So that used to be my life. But since June, it's been great being able to work full-time now in the vanilla. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm really looking forward to being able to produce not only a better yield, because now I'm here full-time doing a lot of the maintenance, but producing more products as well, because not only was I growing vanilla, but I'm also making my own products. So I'm the farmer, I'm the processor, I'm the producer of the value-add products, I'm the social media marketing guru, I'm the admin person, I'm Shopify, I'm e-commerce, so I'm a retailer. I'm at the market on a Saturday, so yep, I had to go full-time into the vanilla. So never mind, it's been great though. What would be my advice to anyone who would like to try and grow vanilla? The advice that I always give is, if you're interested in growing vanilla, start off small. Don't think that, oh, I've got an acre that's doing nothing, I'll plant an acre of vanilla on it. If you haven't grown vanilla before, then I suggest don't do that yet. You can, if you've got that acre, just start off with a small piece. Maybe start off with maybe 10 to 20 trees, and then put about 50 to 80 vanilla vines on those trees. Start off small, get to know how to grow it and understand the amount of time, the amount of effort that you have to put into it, and the whole maintenance schedule. Once you get that and you really want to grow more, then you can use your own vines to create more cuttings to grow more. Because too many farmers here, when I first started 14 years ago, I was in a group of 60 people who also started growing vanilla. And out of that 60, I'm the only one that has persevered, gone through 2 cyclones that have wiped out 90% of my farm, and I grew it back again. I'm the only one that's kept going and am now a commercial vanilla farmer. I'm exporting, I'm producing value-add products. So if you go, a lot of the other farmers had gone too big. One farmer grew 5 acres all at once, and they became so overwhelmed that they just gave up. They just left it to grow wild. They just said, this is just too hard. Because you really, if you're going to have that much vanilla, you can't do it with one person. You're going to need, if it's 5 acres, you're going to need at least 10 to 12 workers helping you on that 5 acres. So think about that. All right, so that's my advice, is just start off small. How are we going for time? Okay, we got half an hour. Remember, pop your questions in there if you want. If I'm not answering all of your questions, then pop them up and I'll get to them. So Michaela Miriana, she's a Facebook follower of ours. She asks, how did I get the vanilla plants to Samoa? Well, I didn't actually get them to Samoa. And originally, so when we started, when I got the vanilla cuttings, they came from, there was an expert that came over from Tahiti and Vanuatu. So they came over to teach the Samoan farmers that were interested at that time. And they brought over some cuttings through the Ministry of Agriculture. So the Ministry of Agriculture here in Samoa still grows vanilla, but they're not doing anything with it. And when I spoke with the CEO a couple of weeks ago, he was saying that it was just all overgrown, so they've done nothing with it, but you can get cuttings from them. But I would recommend that if you're going to get cuttings from the Ministry of Agriculture, be careful that you're not bringing home diseased cuttings, all right? So you want nice, healthy vanilla vines. They are not organic either, so they've been sprayed. So, you know, for me, and my farmers who supply some of their beans to me, I will only accept organic beans. All right. So and that's an incentive which I really want to promote for those people that are thinking about growing vanilla. I'll buy your vanilla beans when they're ready, as long as you remain organic. And if I help you, I can show you how to do that, all right, using natural farm methods and composting, right? And that's really important for me, is to remain organic and only promote my beans as being organically certified. So that's how some of the vanilla plants got to Samoa. Then about a few months back, I was talking to a very well-established family member here in Samoa, and they were telling me that in actual fact vanilla was brought in by the Germans many years ago, when the Germans occupied Samoa, because they can remember their grandfather growing vanilla way up in the mountains here. And in actual fact, when the expert from Tahiti came over with some of the vanilla cuttings plants from Tahiti, he said, I'm pretty sure there must be vanilla here. So he went on a tiki tour up into the mountains way up here, and he found vanilla, but it was growing wild. So a lot of people, if you don't know what you're looking at, you would not realize that that was vanilla. And yep. So he said, yes, here it is. He found vanilla. So he brought some cuttings from that. So yeah, it might be nice to know that maybe some of the vanilla that I started growing here may have been from the original ones. Who knows? The last question that I have here, I hope I'm not boring you to tears. I'll go on and on. So tell me if you want me to slow down or take you on another tiki tour. Yeah, hopefully I'm not boring you. Okay, but the last question is, how long was it before they started producing vanilla pods? Okay, remember the question was how long there were, I'm just trying to think of the question that she asked. Okay, remember when I had said that it takes 3 to 4 years for a vanilla cutting to mature before you can actually encourage it to produce vanilla flowers? Okay, so say you've got the flowers now, then you hand pollinate, which you have to hand pollinate. Vanilla pollination does not happen with an insect or a bee here in Samoa. They won't. They might. A bee might pollinate it, but it might be, if you think of a cluster of flowers on vanilla vines, you can get anywhere between 20 to 30 clusters of flowers in there, and a bee might only pollinate one. So straight away, if you remember when I took you to those beans over there, imagine if I just left it for the insects and the bees to do. Instead of having 12 beans or more, I might end up with just one. So it's really important that you hand pollinate it yourself. When you are successful with your hand pollination, then that flower will grow into the bean. All right? And it takes 9